Happy New Year to everybody that is tuning in tonight with the Coach's Corner. Hello, gentlemen. How is your 2021 going?
One day in.
That's right.
I'm still here. I'm doing good.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Just a few little housekeeping moments from me. If you are tuning in, feel free to ask as many questions as you would like. Just drop them in the comment box, and I'll be keeping an eye out for that and passing that along. That's it for me. So Happy New Year, and I'm disappearing. Your Grace, Duke Brannos, if you don't mind getting us started.
Sure, sounds great. I'd like to welcome everybody to a new year. Just like a lot of New Years, I think we all look back a little bit and see. I think our prowess and our martial arts career for the past year has been rough to stick to. Maybe some goals you had. I'm sure that some had to come up with new goals and move forward, and some put them on hold. But I think hopefully going into this year, we're going to be looking at, how can we turn those things back on? How can we get moving again? And we're going to hopefully help you with that today. We got some great guests. We got Viscount Sagan back again. Thank you. It's awesome to have him back. And Viscount Tristan, he has a bunch of good stuff. I mean, obviously he has to do this for his students all the time. And he has people coming to him all the time and asking him about goals and setting realistic goals and milestones that his students can keep trying to get to. So I'm looking forward to hearing how he does that, because that's part of his everyday compared to many of ours. And then of course we have Jarl Thorfin with his wonderful background experience, and I just like listening to him. So I'll keep it at that. So today episode is a little bit on goals. I posted something wishing everybody a happy new year yesterday in the Coach's Corner, and pointed to a martial arts webpage. And the first thing I wanted to come off and say is one of the easiest ways to make something work is by researching it. And, that went into everything, including this episode. We all sat down and researched the episode to find the things that we needed to come up with and that we wanted to help you with. But this is the same thing you can do when you're doing this. And if that's research, a drill, a shot you want to get better, or if it's, actually going and, figuring out maybe a complete physical workout. Lots of things are out there to find. Find those things that if you have people you trust, then go to them. I mean, I have people here that have been working out far longer than I have, and I tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I need to get stronger at this. And they're like, here's 12 exercises. Okay. I'm like, okay, I'll take 3. Right. And I set myself a realistic goal, and I work on those things. And then maybe I'll go back to them and say, okay, you gave me 12. I'm doing these 3. Which one do you think is next that I should do? And I build on those things, and it's what we're going to talk about today. So, Viscount Tristan.
Cool, thanks. As you said, we planned this episode out, which we kind of did, and as I listed off the topics that we wanted to cover, I realized we may not get to all of them or get them to the depth that we would like to. But I was very excited when this episode kind of came up on our radar a couple of months ago, where we said, okay, New Year's, great time to look at, all right, how is our training going? How can we train into the next year? This was a cycle that I used to do throughout every year, because I realized that the tournament circuit and the war circuit had a rhythm to it. In the wintertime, things died down quite a bit. And then, springtime comes, and that's when events start happening. Tournaments and wars started going on. It's like, I want to be in shape for that. But I also realized, after Penzic and after the fall tournaments kind of taper down, you get the holidays where everybody's eating and relaxing. And, we just got done with a bunch of hopefully celebrations, but you take it easy. You kind of say, okay, my body needs some time to rest. And so you develop a cycle. I think a smart athlete develops a cycle where they spend some time where they rest, recuperate, indulge a little bit, they treat themselves. And then once they hit usually some kind of a threshold, which is, a few months before they need to go compete, then it's time to roll up the sleeves, put down the donuts, and get to training. And then, well, what do you train? It's not enough just to say, well, I'm going to do a bunch of workouts and hopefully in 3 months I'll be where I want to be. So what I found within these, there's a lot of different small things to look at for, all right, how are we going to do it? And we're there right now. Today's the first of the year. We've gotten done, hopefully, with our indulging ourselves and enjoying ourselves, having a good time, which, you need to have that in your life generally. But now it's, okay, what do I want to do? And at the very top of the list is, what are your goals? What is it you want to do? Right now, we have a big question mark. We're not sure exactly when things are going to come back and get rolling, when tournaments are going, when these things happen. But that doesn't mean you just kick back on the couch. As you put your goals together and figure out what you want to do, the more detail you can get, the easier it is to form your plan. And it always comes down to a plan. You plan your work and work your plan. And that covers any improvement you want to do, any learning. There has to be some structure to it. And I would say the very first thing to do is figure out, how much do you want to do this? Is this I'm all excited for a New Year's resolution and I just want to be a great fighter? If that's all it is, it won't last more than a week. I'll guarantee it. But if you can say, all right, yes, I do really want to do this. In my opinion, the very first step is to say, how much time can I realistically devote to this and keep going with? If you say, I'm going to train for 8 hours a week, I'll guarantee you're not going to last a month. You're going to burn out. You're going to get tired. You're going to give up stuff that you really like doing, and you're going to go right back to those things. So the first thing is to figure out, all right, what's a realistic time schedule that I can do? How many hours a week or how many days per week can I do a bit of training? And inevitably, I've found that it's better to do 10 minutes a day, every day, 7 days a week, than do 1 day a week where you train for an hour and a half. You're just going to get more results doing it in smaller chunks, and it makes it easier on the impact of your life generally. And I was one of those people that I would go to every practice, every single practice, all the time for years and years. Even after I got knighted, I'd go to every practice, and I'd have people come up to me who would go to one practice a month, or one practice every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And they'd be like, oh, Tristan, I want to be good. I really want to be good. What does it take to be good? It's like, well, firstly, one practice a month ain't going to do it. It just won't. And so but then they would always say, like, oh, I've got so many things. I've got, I had my birthday, and then I had to go to a movie. I didn't want to go on a date. I had to, go fix my car, all these things. And I'd say, well, here's a process for flushing this out. Take a notebook, and every single time practice rolls around and you don't go, right on the notebook what you did instead. And just keep a tab on that. And in about a month or two, you're going to have a list of all the things that are more important to you than becoming a good fighter. And then you can write on the bottom, become a good fighter, and then sit and go and say, where does being a good fighter fit into my priority list? Because there are some life things you cannot pass up. You have to go do them. We all accept that that's true. But when building skill in yourself is the last thing on your list, and your list is pretty long, you got a problem. And only you can sort that out. You can go to the greatest fighter in the known world, and he cannot give you the motivation to get your ass to practice instead of doing whatever else it is that you have prioritized over being a good fighter or learning to be a good fighter. So I think time is the first thing that I'd put on there. Is you got to make time for it. And for everything, because we have finite time, be ready for something that you want to add into your schedule. You got to be ready to subtract something else. Something else has got to go. So look at it that way. Like, what do you want to remove from what you do every week to make time to go to practice? And be ready to make that decision. And if you're not ready to do it, if you can't find a single thing that you can eliminate to make time for practice, then you're just not going to become a good fighter. It just won't happen. So what do you guys have on that subject? Any, I'm sure you guys have all got some good insights.
Go ahead, Thorfin.
Okay. So yeah, about the thing, the last thing you were talking about, with you're setting yourself with goals of asking what you really want out of fighting. Mm-hmm. That's a real kind of a come to Jesus, be honest with yourself type of moment.
It is.
And here's the thing. It's okay if you don't want to become like a super great fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to do is you have to be honest with yourself and say to yourself, I'm not trying to achieve that. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be like, absolutely, come to practice whenever the hell you want. But mm-hmm. if you're telling people you're trying to do that, and you're not actually, like you said, making those sacrifices on those times, like, oh, it sucks, I got to miss that movie this time because I'm going to practice, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're really who you're lying to here, right? And so be honest with yourself about what you want out of this experience. Mm-hmm. And it, like, to excel, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, and that's just part of the game. But I'll let someone else jump in here on that.
Your Grace Brannos.
So sorry, I don't unmute myself. I guess, coming in on that, I'm gonna say one thing, and that is time is probably the hardest piece, just because we tend to fill our time. I am lucky to have a wife that allowed me to fill my time with the thing I was really working hard at, and that was attending fighting practice. There are a lot of Sundays. It got to a point where my relatives knew that, a Sunday get together was not going to be at noon. It was going to be at 4 or 5 o'clock when I would show up. Otherwise, I didn't show up. And those are the priorities that get set. And sometimes, once in a while, you can break that priority. You have to judge that, but you have to set those priorities. And sometimes they're hard. And you have to balance your life. And is that going to hurt your relationship or family? It is, that's where you have to set that. But again, time, and don't, and this is going to get right back into something we're going to constantly say here through this whole episode. Be realistic about it. Right? That's all I can say is try to be as realistic as possible. Don't start out and say, well, I normally fight once a month, and then say, well, I'm going to fight 3 days a week, because it's not going to happen. Okay. It's going to happen for a bit of time because the change is too big. But so, just going from once a week to twice a week is good. Saying by the end of the year, I want to fight 3 times a week. There you go. Right.
Achievable.
So be realistic in all of these things we think and talk about today, guys. That's all I want to make sure everybody follows.
Right. And that is, again, being realistic will be a part of everything we cover tonight. And the idea is we don't plan to fail, but we can fail to plan. That's an adage that's been around for a very long time. Being realistic when you are doing that planning is imperative to your success. As His Excellency Tristan said, if you think you can get away with going to practice once a month and you're going to be a crown contender, well, I sure hope you've got a lot of natural ability. On the other hand, if you're willing to take 10, 20 minutes a day and you work on specific things, maybe 3, maybe 4 times a week, you've got a good shot at getting better than where you are right now. One of the main things I would recommend is don't get in your own way. There's nobody to practice with, so I'm not going to do anything. I really don't know how to do Pell work, so I'm going to leave that alone too. I don't have a way to go to a gym, so there's no strength training I can do. There's nowhere I can run. So there's no endurance training I can do. Instead of that, say to yourself, I get to do X. And the way I will accomplish X is by doing A, B, and C. Setting out simple goals is better than not having any goals at all, and they're achievable. Again, yes, we are 9 months into this. Leave that alone. It's 2021, people. Vaccines coming. What does that mean? Sometime this year, the green light's going to go on for a lot of you. When that happens, you want to be ready. So let's get planning. Let's set goals. Let's be realistic, and let's get them done.
All right, let's throw this back at Tristan so he can go ahead and...
Yeah, I wanted to throw in one really great gold nugget that I came across years ago, and that had to do with what does it take to build a new habit or to tear down a habit that you already have? Because this is one of those things where inertia is a thing. Even with human beings, inertia is a thing. If you want to change your habit, you got to shift from the way you did it yesterday to how you're going to do it tomorrow. And that the nugget of wisdom is this: it takes 40 days to change your habit. If you can do something for 40 days, by the end of the 40 days, it will be your new habit. Same thing goes for quitting smoking, to doing a workout or keeping your workout schedule, or you're changing your diet or anything. So just have in your mind, just bear out the 40 days and you're going to have a new habit, whether you gave up a bad habit or you're adopting a new habit. That has helped me a great deal when I've been trying to overcome that inertia of a bad habit or trying to adopt something new. And it's just kind of how humans are programmed. So give it the 40 days and you'll be amazed how you can really shift your traffic pattern into something new and different and better. So I wanted to put that in there. So the second thing on our topic list, now that you've got your motivation, your basic, all right, I'm ready to dedicate time to this. We're kind of going from taking stock of where you are, and that being the motivation. What is your ambition? If your ambition is hollow and it leaves you after 10 minutes, like a lot of people's New Year's resolutions do, then you barely get started. But if you do have that ambition and you have the focus, now start getting the tangibles together. Okay, where can I train? Do I have a space where I can, either work on a Pell, I can put up some equipment, I can do workouts. I like to do a lot of body weight stuff, but that can be even getting a space where you can do fighting, whether it's your backyard or
your garage.
Or there's all kinds of different things. I know that now with business, a lot of businesses going out of business, you can often find things like warehouse spaces or, buildings that are partially empty that might have a space for you to fight. Go sniffing around, talk to people, tell them what you're looking for. But you may have to be creative, but you need to get a space. And I know Brannos and I are in very northern climes, so you can't just go outside to a park because it's covered in snow and it's freezing cold. So we have to, do some things to find indoor spaces that we can deal with. And so get a space for you to do what you're going to do. It's like any other project. You're going to do woodworking, you better have a space to do your woodworking. Same deal. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add on that.
Yeah, I mean, we went through an episode on this actually a little while ago. And that episode, we covered kind of indoor training methods and drills that you could actually do indoors. There's actually we got a spreadsheet with drills in it that you can essentially pull up and see the drills that we're doing. There's lots of, everything from ladder drills to rotational footwork drills to striking drills on a Pell to, things that you could even do in your living room. Height of ceilings are always tough. I'm lucky enough to we kind of have a quarantine team that included one of my squires. So it's just, and her significant other and my wife. But both of them fight. And so I still, still get a chance to go and drill. We don't really fight in there. We do a lot of, we will do a lot of shadow drills and pushing drills, fake drills. But we run through ladders every day, rotational drills every day, striking drills every day. And then just like a class, the last part of class where we'll talk some philosophy, we'll add some different strikes or movement or fakes, or we'll cover something. And we go through that and that's our class, and then we're off. Even today, I went through and started doing a routine spreadsheet with somebody. Then we covered those videos with them and put a small routine together. Probably it's only going to be maybe, 40 minutes. A lot of it was very fundamental. It was mostly getting some physical routine back so he could get into shape, make sure his knees were solid again because he's had bad knees. So we put some stuff in to help him strengthen and continue to be strengthen the knees. So when he comes back, he's going to hopefully come back and be stronger than not doing nothing. and also added some of the ladder and agility drills to this. And he's going to tape himself here and there, or video himself and send stuff, and then we'll review and do this. And I've done this with a number of other people even before this from last year. And some of the drills are literally just body weight squat drills and things like that. You do not have to spend 2 hours a day training. If you spend, like Sagan said, if you spend 15, 20 minutes, it's better than doing nothing. And in some cases, if you spend even time going online and watching video and really taking a look, and thinking about it, it is better than nothing. Visualization takes you a long, long way. And there's a lot of studies on that. So there's ways to do this. Even if you don't have a space, there's ways to still be involved and still think fighting. Guys, go ahead, Thorfin.
Yeah, so I live out here where it never snows. I think it snowed in my town 1984. That was the last time.
We'll send you some.
Oh, sure it did.
Right? And so, no joke. I'm not kidding about that. Like this much in 1984. But so part of the thing is that a lot of people don't live in that area. Let's say that though that they're like apartment living. You don't have a lot of space. You can find, and you don't have a place for a Pell, right? You don't have a Pell, but there's a telephone pole just right there, right? And this Pell work stuff, guys, you don't have to beat the hell out of the Pell, right? It's about throwing the shot perfectly, not hard. So you can go out into your neighborhood and do a practice. It can only be 2 or 3, 5 minutes or whatever, right? But you can find a telephone pole. I like to use my equipment when I'm doing some of these little exercises we were talking about. Like I like to take my shield and I like to do like lunges with my shield. So that way I've got my actual equipment that I fight with and my body's getting used to using that. And I'm also doing something, as an exercise format. So I do like lunges with my shield, trying to keep it in, form. So that way my body is also, again, learning a good technique. And then I also do like shield lifts. So what I'll do is I'll take my shield and I'll let it hang as low as it can go. And I'm going to raise it up as high as I can. And I'll do this like 50 times, right? And then I punch out my shield another 50 times, right? This is all keeping the musculature and your body mechanics that you're used to using during fighting. You're going to keep these things active and not allowing that to atrophy. It's something you can do in front of your TV, right? You can do those shield lifts indoors. You can do the lunges indoors. You can do squats with your gear. And these things allow you to use your own equipment and the limited space pretty well. Take a yardstick on your walk. People don't think it's weird if you have a yardstick. They think you're just measuring shit. If you have a stick, you're a crazy person about to attack someone, right? So just take a yardstick. You can practice. It also, by the way, has an edge like a sword, and it's about the same length as a sword. So you can practice as you do your walk. You can hit things, or reach out and touch that telephone pole as you go by. These are things you can do that are with almost no equipment. And I think that's something we could all do a little bit. So I try to add those into my stuff. So
nope, all sound good.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Area to train. Doesn't have to be inside. It could be outside, especially if you live where Thorfin lives. But the idea is, if you're motivated enough, you'll find a way. I guarantee you. You will find a way because the green light is coming. You're going to hear me say that a lot. Sometime this year, hopefully, the green light will come back on again. And I'm wishing and hoping for each of you that you're ready to go when it does. So an area to train. How much area do you really need to do sit-ups, push-ups, whatever kind of calisthenics you want to do? How much area do you really need to do sword work? Okay, that's a different spatial. How much space do you need to do pole arm work? Now we're there again. Again, don't get in your own way. Oh, I don't want to move the cars out of the garage. Then I got to put them back. Don't get in your own way. Find that space. If you happen to live in sunny climes, that's great. As was pointed out, there's a telephone pole somewhere. There's a walk you can take with a yardstick. Go ahead. Get it done. We're here for you too. If you're having troubles being motivated, we are nothing but an email or a text message away. Contact us.
Yeah, Brannos actually brought up the next topic, which is finding partners, find people to work with. And this is an age-old, time-proven technique for keeping to your workouts. Get a workout buddy. They will keep you honest, because when you say, wow, I want to sit home and eat a pizza and drink a beer, you have to call up your workout buddy and say, I ain't coming. I'm not going to the gym. And they're going to be like, really? You're not going?
Yeah.
Okay, so the same thing applies here. Find at least one person, better if you can get 2 or 3 that are on the same page as you are. You all want to work together. Of course, can be a little like herding cats, trying to figure out when your schedules can sync up. But like Sagan said, make it happen. If you want it bad enough, you'll make that happen, and you'll find a couple people that want to train, and you'll support each other, and you'll keep each other honest. It's easy to sit home when you could just go out in your backyard and work out alone. You can always put that off, but it's hard to put off another person. So, and this is I think the social aspect of fighting that's fantastic about the SCA, and that is you're going to bond with those people that are going the same direction that you are, and they're going to help you. You're going to help them. Like that's an invaluable thing. In fact, I think you'd be hard pressed to become a good fighter if you did not do that. You have to. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, as my squire puts it, accountability buddies. And it's easy because now you don't actually have to think about all the things that that you want to do. Now you got somebody to bounce ideas off of and be creative. You have somebody there that can say, hey, here, let's try this week, and you can do that everywhere from, hey, I'm going to go out to the parking lot and do this. I'm going to go out to the gym. I'm going to go out to a covered, parking garage. I'm going to pull, we're going to get a pair of ladders and put them on the ground, and we'll ladder drill and we'll go from drill to drill with each other, kind of pointing back and forth at each other if you need that. Or at the end of your thing, it's like, hey, we doing these drills today? Yes. Okay. You guys set a time. At the end, you're like, hey, did them. Everything looks, everything feels good. What do we want to do next week? Mm-hmm. Or what do we want to do Sunday? And the idea is you're not alone, and you have somebody there with you, and you have somebody who's like, hey, are you going to do this? Because I'm waiting for you. He's not really saying that, but just by saying, hey, are we going to do this? That's what he's saying, mm-hmm. or she's saying. Right. They're saying, I'm here to do this with you, not maybe physically with you, but I'm here to do this with you. On the physical side, that's not impossible either, especially if you're in a warmer climate. You could go somewhere, stay totally separated from each other, bring your own ladders or bring multiple drill spots, and then do rotational drills so that you're never within range of each other. Mm-hmm. In the summer here, that's exactly what we did. We did a lot of drills like this where people are 10 foot apart, where one person runs to the ladder, then the next person runs to the ladder. And then we just, and then we did rotational drills on pels. We had 4 pels there, 10 feet apart doing stuff. We did stuff where we were able to do tracking work 10 feet apart, so you could even do that if you're in a better climate currently. You could do that scenario as well. You can still be with people. And I tell you, it brought a lot of just seeing somebody, hearing somebody, seeing them learn something again is heartwarming. And it really does, light your soul and make you want to go back and keep doing things. So think about it. I know it's at that point where we're at, hopefully, we think, oh, I'll just wait for this. Well, you got to be careful to say, I'm just going to wait for something. Okay. You can, there's ways to do stuff. Just be safe as you can and figure out what's the best for you. Thorfin?
Yeah. So one of the things I was thinking about, and I'm not going to say I'm condoning it even, but a lot of people have pods, like a group of people mm-hmm. that they feel they're safe with, or their quarantine or whatever you want to call it. Right. I think that if you're going to have like a practice quarantine, one of the things you have to do is you have to communicate for real about your potential exposure and be honest with them. Say like, hey, I had to go to the store this week and, are you okay with that?
Exactly.
And then but this again, this is all about connectivity. The pod has to be like a small group. You're making sacrifice to have that. Now I haven't really done that, but I will tell you, I think that it's something that it preys on my mind all the time. I'm thinking to myself, how could I have a friend like that I could go and do with? If you do have that ability, it's like one of those like crazy, like open relationship things. It's all about communication, guys. And you have to be honest with each other. So that way you don't affect everyone around their lives.
Yeah. And that includes, I got to go get a haircut.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I'm talking about everything. You got to say like, hey, I had to go to Walmart for some reason,
Yep.
and then they can make their decision. Like, do I feel safe, or do we need to say, let's not meet for 2 weeks. Right. And guys, this is a thing it's important because you're potentially, affecting someone's entire life. And so don't be selfish, be honest. And that's my thing on that. So,
absolutely. There's so many things that can be talked about as far as partners. And our next subject, mentors. With the advent of the internet, there was a lot of things going on. With the advent of COVID, the internet has been put to task. There are so many things that you could attend if your practice partner says, look, it's like this. My kid's sick. They just got sick. I know we're 15 minutes out. I'm sorry, I have to book on this one. I'll be back next week. Well, now there's tons of alternatives. What kind of Pell work do you want to do? Maybe you want to do some mental training, right? For advanced students, maybe it's just you just do a lot of centering, focusing, and launching, and you come back and you start over again. Now that's one thing for the advanced students, but for beginners, there's a lot of Pell work out there now. There's a lot of things you can attend. And they're not expensive at all, right? How much does it cost to attend these things? Nothing. So how motivated are you? My partner quit today. I'm not going to do anything either. It's not worth it. Again, don't get in your own way. And yeah, the old man is going to keep saying, don't get in your own way all night long. Okay, everybody in harmony, all night
long.
There we go. Thanks. On to mentors.
Mentors, I think, is one of those things where anybody that's at your practice, look at them like a mentor, even if they're not your knight or your instructor or the Knights Marshal, or because when people start out, they're like, all right, who's the KM? I'm going to go and, they're going to teach me the rules and kind of get me going. But look at everybody as a mentor. Everyone has something that you can take from them that can benefit your own learning. And they might be your mentor for just 10 minutes and that's it. But use that time, find those people and look at them with the perspective that you're looking to take away something that they have, whether it's listening to what they tell you, or because there are some people that are, you will learn from, not because they tell you how to do something or describe it, but you watch them and you copy them, or you try to emulate what they can do. I call that stealing. I like stealing stuff from people because I'll take it regardless of whether they actually give it to me or not. And a lot of martial artists will refer to this as steal technique. But I view that person as a mentor, and I will respect them for having shown me what they can do, and having my mind open to what I'm seeing and recognize it and say, all right, I want to try to do that as well as they can do that. So it's like an artist's palette of all kinds of different colors. Mentoring comes in many, many different forms. And don't think that you need to run out and find somebody who's going to be your dedicated teacher for the next 5 years. Just if you do, that's cool. Certainly don't discount the idea, but just look at, hey, we're going to get together for the next half hour. Let's play a little bit. You're going to be my mentor. All right. Show me what you got. Show me what has worked for you, and let's work on that. And then you can get to the point where if you've got a little bit of experience or you've found something that works for you, you show them, offer them something back for what they've given you. And that mentoring relationship, I think, is probably the most invaluable thing you'll run across when it comes to learning fighting. Yes, ambition and dedication and all those things are valuable, but you will get the most from other people. And if you allow that to happen and you go seek those people out with the mind of, you're going to use what they give you to improve yourself.
So, you know, it's funny that you talk about that. You know, for us at our practice, everybody's a partner, and you know, there's stuff that, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say, you know, hey, John Eric, you know, showed me this, and I showed John Eric stuff, and then we show everybody else stuff. I have a squire that, you know, really I didn't do a sliding inside leg shot for 20 plus years until probably 5 years ago or less, maybe even 3 years ago. He laid a couple right across my belly one night, even when I tried to stop it. I'm like, okay, that shit ain't happening no more. And, you know, and you know, he's a knight now, but you know, it was still, I mean, we get that chance to learn from anybody. And you know, if that's at practice, it's at practice. There's times we look and, you know, on another Great Fighters YouTube, we look and we see people doing it. It's like, we're going to give that back blade a shot, a try. And we, you know, and we grab stuff out of there, and it's like, hey, I'm going to, you know, hey, how do you do that? You know, we're just talking on a show where we review video all the time, but it's like, how do you do that? And it's like, oh, this is how it's done. And somebody talks about it. And then next thing you know, you're trying it in your yard. And that's the type of thing where I'm, you know, these guys are across the country, and they're helping me understand that. Right. And, you know, that's being a student all the time. And if you want to stay good, you have to be a student for your whole life. And that may include the times when you can't fight no more. Because if you still want to be a good coach and you want to be a good fighter, you have to understand these things. So take that to heart, because, you know, getting a belt, being a Duke, being, you know, your goal, the greatest fighter in, you know, the SCA, the one thing you have to always be is a student. So I'd like to just let it go on that. And, but keep that in mind. You can set a goal for this year, but the one thing that will continue with you forever is being a student.
Come out there, Thorfin.
Yeah, so I got a couple things. First off, I got to say my knight was a guy who really believed that you should be working with people that communicate with you. So he was a big guy, right? And I, you know, he was like, Kelly, I can't teach you everything. So he would say, go to practice, and, you know, if that guy, you communicate with him right now, work with that guy, right? And it's having the dialogue that communicates to you is important in your training. So if you find a person, it's okay to do that. It's okay to work with other people on that. And right now, with the video and all the you know, internet stuff that we have got going on right now, you could literally train with like Brannos, or watch fights from Lucan, or all these other famous fighters, right? And the thing about that is, that wasn't a thing we were doing before. And now you have access to tons of this information. So you can kind of, like you said, mentor from a distance with people. As a matter of fact, I'm working with a fighter he lives about 3 hours from me, and we don't really know each other, but his knight connected him with me to help with his pill work, and even just kind of, I think motivation is what this guy really needed. And so we do the same thing you were talking about, where he communicates with me. He sends me every night. He sends me that he did his 100 blows at the pill.
Hey, I'm gonna throw something at you real quick, just because I was gonna wait until we were done with this topic, but since you brought up motivation and you're kind of covering it, there was a quick question in the comments, and that was on the subject of motivation. How do we all keep our motivation, keep us pushing forward and move past stagnation? So while you're in this subject talking about motivation, keep that one in mind for this person.
I will. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that one of the things that worked with this guy was having someone that he knew that was just out there. And I don't know this fighter, right? And he sends me a video every week, and I analyze it of his new pel work. And I say, like, hey, I would like to see you do more, you know, around the pel movement, right? Not just linear at the pel movement. And he was like, oh, okay, I had never done that before. So this is kind of like the idea of mentoring in a way that we can do distance mentoring. And it does work, because I'm seeing this guy send me these things. He's about to, tomorrow, I think, is his 100 days that he's done, which goes back to Tristan's 40-day thing, right? So I think this guy is changed his kind of format of how he does his training now because of this thing that we did together. And I was just so happy to be involved, you know, and if I would do this with anybody. But so that was kind of where I was going with that, you know. And so I'm going to pull back for a second here and let someone else go, and we'll figure out what's going on.
All right, mentors. Okay, mentors for what? You have to answer the question. If you're just talking SCA fighting, that's one thing. SCA fighting is not comprised of just sticks and shields, okay? There's cardio to be investigated, nutrition to be investigated, hydration to be investigated. There's the whole strength training side and the whole mental side. You know, Tristan, as an Aikido sensei, is involved with all those things a lot, depending upon the interest of the student, probably. However, you have the time now to get involved in all of those and answer for yourself. How do I find a mentor for what I want to get done right now? And maybe that's doing some research into cardio work on the internet, or you ask someone in your area, one of the local knights or dukes or whoever. You know, maybe it's just another unbelted fighter you train with all the time. Hey, what do you do for cardio? Right? Gather the information, develop a plan, execute the plan. Straightforward enough, easy enough. Okay. So maybe it's sword and weapon. Maybe you've never fought with an axe before with your shield. Things like that. Once again, we're going to come back to the internet. Once again, we're going to go to the local knight. Once again, we're going to go to a training partner. The assets are there for you to ask the questions. If, for some reason, the answers are not sufficient enough, then say so. Again, we've talked about this before. Adopt the trainer-trainee role, but be the good trainee. Ask the questions that will get the answers you need, not the answers the trainer wants to give if they don't suffice. Okay? Now then we get to the mental end. Maybe the mental end is something you really have a hard time with. There are plenty of people I know that until the first blow is thrown, their mental end just isn't there. There are also people I know that as soon as they walk onto the field, the mental end takes over and everything almost goes to automatic. How do you get there? Practice, practice, practice. Okay. So, and again, we're all about, this is a brand new year. Okay. This is a brand new time for us again to reestablish the things that maybe we were lacking in the past and to accentuate the ones we've already started. So again, don't let it go, get it done.
Yeah, I want to jump to that question on motivation, because I think that it's a profound question, and I think it's something that almost everybody has struggled with. And when we started this episode off, we talked about being realistic. The realistic truth is sometimes your motivation is going to ebb. It happens to everybody. When you work with your partners, the reason you gather them together is that when you're at an ebb, you can use them to help motivate you. And likewise, when they have an ebb and you're really feeling like you're excited, you're going to give them some of that energy and you're going to help them become motivated. So that kind of goes back to the practice group or your the partners. One of the things I think that is a major key to motivation, and I got this actually from a motivational speaker, and he talked about there are people that want to be millionaires, that want to have $1 million, and there are people that want to work to earn $1 million. And there's two different approaches entirely. Most of the people that want the $1 million aren't willing to work to get the $1 million or to make it. And I think fighting is much the same way. Everybody sees a knight or they see a duke and they go, oh, wow, I want that. I want to be that. Well, everybody wants to be it. Not many people want to work to get it. And the thing that I found is the key to motivation is enjoy the practice. Don't approach it like you're at a Marine Corps boot camp, or that you're there to be miserable, because misery builds skill. Approach it like I want to enjoy learning. I want to come away after an hour being better than I was when I started. If you have that, if you find that formula, I guarantee you will be excited out of your socks to go to every practice, because you know that when you get done, you'll be better. If you don't find that formula, if you think that just being grueling on your body and just trying to attack fighting as hard as you can and just getting bruised up and being miserable is going to get you to success, you're going to burn out and you're just going to get frustrated, and the motivation is going to sit like a boulder on top of you. So approach it with, you're here to have fun. The SCA is about having fun. And yes, you can learn, and yes, you get better, and getting better and learning is fun. Make that process enjoyable for yourself. And then your motivation challenges are going to get a lot smaller. They're not going to be as daunting. Thorfin, you had something you want to say?
Yeah. I've had a lot of students or just friends even where I've seen them at practice and they're struggling, they're beating themselves up, they're having a shitty night. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, like, hey, give it a couple goes. And if you're not getting it tonight, just stop, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to do more damage to yourself mentally and kind of, even your technique. If you keep carrying forward with this kind of like in a bad place, instead stop for the night. Not every night, is going to be perfect. And some nights you have to say to yourself, again, this is one of those earlier, be honest with yourself type topics where you say, hey, I'm done tonight. And all I'm doing is I'm screwing myself up. And I have no problem with having one of my guys go and just, they're done for the night. They go and sit down or just hang out. Right. And then next week, right. We always got that. We always have next practice. And so it's okay to take a time out and say, I'm just not getting anything out of this tonight. And I'd rather have you do that than fail.
This is one of the reasons that I hate the phrase "no pain, no gain," because people equate that to be, if I want gain, then I need pain. So I'm going to go seek out pain. And when you do that, it's a disaster.
You have to find the joy in it. Otherwise you won't come back. Mm-hmm. Right. If it becomes nothing but a drag and a burden and work, then, you're putting work in, but if it feels like you're just grinding, it's going to wear you down. And so you have to, like you said, find the joy in why you love doing this. Mm-hmm. And also kind of set, again, realistic expectations. It's not about winning. It's about fighting and experiencing this combat thing that we're doing together. Right. And if you can go there, then you don't have that other baggage. You can just let that shit go. Right. And so, but I think that's huge what you said. And that's why I wanted to jump in on it. I was like, It's okay to say, I'm taking it off because I'm not there. Yep. And then next week we start again. It's okay. There's always more.
Right. Absolutely. One of those things about motivation, as a trainer, as a coach, I can educate you. I can partially motivate you. Mm-hmm. I cannot dedicate you. Mm-hmm. Motivation has a lot of aspects to it. We've talked about the 4 Ds, right? With desire, drive, determination, devotion. That's all great. And they are essential to success at the level you want to be successful. Now then, we've talked about, I want to be a crown contender. Okay, that's one level. I want to fight with my buddies every other Sunday. That's another level. But motivation is a two-edged sword. If you cannot motivate yourself, find someone who can, who speaks with you, that can help motivate you. But at the end of the day, motivation comes down to, why am I doing this? And how badly do I want to do it? Or how well do I want to do it? And how willing am I to get there, no matter what the obstacles are?
So just the last note on this, and I'm going to steal something from somebody who's chatting online here. And that is, there's motivation and there's discipline. And I think people tend to use those interchangeably sometimes, and they're not. People look at me and think, okay, I got where I am because I just live, sleep, fighting and hitting people every day. And I guarantee you there's times my wife gets tired of hearing me talk about fighting, and there's, tired of hearing me going online and doing all of this stuff. But discipline brought me to the speaker tonight, because I took something up and I said I was going to do it. Right. I'm always happy to come out and share. But, it's hard to get motivated to come off from watching TV to come in to do this, right? I'm leaving my wife in the other room and coming and do this on a holiday. But there's a level of discipline too, because with that discipline comes the benefits. We go to school day in and day out because at the end, we do have a benefit of an education. There was people asked me and Rongalder both. We're like, so how do you guys find this motivation to go to practice every day? And this for, not every day, pardon me, twice a week for 30 plus years. And when I say twice a week, there's no breaks in there. Even when Rongalder blew up his knee, he sat in a chair and fought people sitting in a chair. When I had shoulder surgery, the first one, I fought offhanded. The second one, I was trying to be better. But I went to every practice, even out of gear. Did not miss a practice. And our answer to them is that we're actually more afraid of missing practice because it's easier to miss the next one.
That's that habit.
Right. And
absolutely.
It wasn't motivation.
One thing I want to add to this too, and there's another word in there that I think relates to these, and that is inspiration. When you get together, whether you are playing the role of the mentor, and I want to address that as the mentor and the coach, really, it's if somebody comes to you and they get a dose of your analytical breakdown of, okay, here's what you're doing right, here's what you're doing wrong, what they don't get, that seems to be a very dry type of interaction. When they show up and you say, we get to put on armor and fight, like this is the best thing ever. They're getting a dose of that positive energy. You can save the analytical breakdowns for a time because there's a time for that. But keep in mind that you are as a mentor, being as much of an inspiration of why this is such a great activity. And that's something that, through all the years that I did it, I just couldn't wait to get my helmet on again. I couldn't wait to get my armor again. I couldn't wait to get onto the battlefield again. Couldn't wait to get to practice again. I loved all of it because that's what I had in my mind and vision. I didn't go and think, well, I need to work on this, that, and the other. I mean, I did, but it was built on the foundation that I was excited to do this. Like I get to put on armor and fight people. Like this is the best thing ever. Without that, if you don't have that ingredient, the enjoying the activity, then your motivation will just go, it'll disintegrate. So have that, but also impart it. If you have some of it, share that, because that is what will get people to come back to practice. They're like, I want to be around that guy that is so excited to do this, that he is just overflowing with energy. And that as it flows out of you, it will start to take a form. How can I help you get to be a better fighter? How can I help this group build its practice? How can I make our practice group fun, enjoyable, have everybody laughing, having a good time, and in doing so, learning because of it. If it seems like a dry college lecture where people are falling asleep in the seats, you failed. You're not going to motivate anybody or inspire them. And so I'm glad we got onto this topic. It's a little bit kind of around the edge of the mentoring, but I think it has an important role to play, is understanding the relationship of motivation, inspiration, and discipline. Because,
and if I may, Your Excellency, the idea is, as His Excellency just said, you can be the inspiration just by showing up.
Yes,
exactly.
He's here. He came back.
Practice by going to practice.
This person obviously loves this, right? But came back to share with us. He came back to teach us. He came back, right? So as a coach or as a practice partner or as a squire, right? When you show that inspiration and motivation, it carries weight with it.
All right, let's go on to conditioning, and let's go ahead. We had a question, and I'll say the question, and we're gonna kind of build this question into the next topic, and that is, how do I come back to training while either dealing with an injury, and believe me, that's been my life for many years, more so than ever right now, or recovering from an injury.
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about some conditioning ideas in terms of the space and whatnot. coming back with it from an injury or taking a timeout always seems like an ebb on your, or a drain on your energy level. Like you want to get out and play, but you can't. And it can wind up being a little depressing. I agree with you. And I did the same thing when I was injured. I'd show up to practice anyway, because you can still mentor people. You can study and analyze, help them learn in many different ways. But from the conditioning standpoint, and I think this fits in perfectly to the New Year's resolution thing, where people maybe put on a little weight from the holiday eating, or they just haven't been very active the last 2 months. And it pays to put a little bit of time on that schedule, even if it's 15, 20 minutes a day, to doing some exercises. And you don't need to go crazy and start buying thousands of dollars worth of equipment and fill your basement with all kinds of gear. You can do some very efficient things with body weight exercises. And there's tons of YouTube videos out there that can show you how to do all of this stuff, minimal equipment. But you're talking about, if you use the analogy that you want to win an auto race, you got to build your car. You can't take a jalopy out on the track and expect to win the race, no matter how good your driver is. And so your own body is kind of like your race car. And you may have to, even if you can't get together with people, you can work on your legs. I love the body weight squats. I do those myself. Hindu squats. You can do all kinds of different things to get your body ready to go. One of the things that I wish I had done, and I'd learned about years ago, but I didn't, is the perfect preparation for sword work, for shoulders, because Brannos and I are both suffered from bad shoulders. I wish I'd have gotten into Indian clubs. They are by far, I think, the best thing for building the musculature that is used by sword work, where heavyweights don't quite hit what the shoulder movements that fighting tends to be. And they're pretty cheap. You can get a nice set for like $60 or
make your own.
Or make your own. Yeah, you can do them out of water jugs or anything like that.
I made them out of kids' baseball bats.
Yep, perfect. And learn how to use them. There's free YouTube videos that'll teach you all kinds of routines with them. They don't need to be heavy. They don't take up a lot of room. They're just fantastic. So a lot of things that you can do from the conditioning standpoint. One of the ones that I always would do would be focus on my endurance. Typically, this would be the time of year where I'd realize, okay, Gulf War's coming up 3 months away. I want to be able to go fight an hour and a half res battle without having to take any breaks. So, all right, time to get onto the conditioning. And the thing that I found was the most practical for building cardio was what's called interval training. So track teams, like college track teams, would do this. They would say they had a team of 8, 10 runners. They'd line them all up about 6 feet apart, and they'd all go running at kind of a jog. And then the last person in line would sprint to the front of the line as they were all running. And then when he got to the front, he'd slow down to the normal pace. And then the next one would sprint. So you're going fast, slow in pace. And when I would do this, the first time I did it, I just got an exercise bike in the basement, and I did the same thing, fast and slow, for I think it was 30 seconds and 30 seconds, or 30 seconds in a minute. I don't remember, but I went out and fought a 2-hour res battle, and I got just to the point of the end. And I was thinking, man, I think I've only been out here an hour. And I just kept going and going and going. It was remarkable. So I would definitely attest to interval training being a great way to build your cardio. We can talk about strength and whatnot, but those are things that you can do right now alone. Do your homework, get some help from any of us can help guide you. There's a lot of good trainers out there that are working, SCA fighters. They know how to guide people through that training. But I think the conditioning is the time to kick it in.
Yeah.
The time of the year.
Yeah. And I think that's the big point, and there's especially the interval training, there's so many videos out there for so many situations. My squire just posted it in the comments, and I know she does some of these. There's like 15-minute hit videos, and there's tons of great stuff. So even if you take 15 minutes a day, put it on your TV, bring up YouTube, pull up the video from wherever it is, and do it. And it's not that you have to do it exactly like them. You just an attempt at doing it. And then when you can, you find a harder video. And a lot of these people have video after video after video. There's another drill spreadsheet that we're developing that has a lot of boxing drills in it that cover legs to arms to chest, shoulders, but mostly around boxing stuff, which fits in with at least the way I fight. But it does fit within the society pretty well. So there's a lot of those things that can be done as well, that would directly bring you back into a place that can be, you know, kind of coming back. And the good part right now is coming back. Like if you're at that point where you're living through an injury, then I would say stay away from the injury that you currently have, unless your doctor's told you that now is the time to start building it. And then talk to him about what you want to do so that he can say, yeah, that's a good idea. And then you got to listen to your body. Your body will tell you if it's a good idea or a bad idea. So, but, you know, by doing nothing when you're supposed to be doing stuff post-injury, you're hurting yourself because you're weakening the muscles around that injury that they specifically built up to support that injury. So you definitely want to keep doing those things. But this isn't just for those people, you know, for the people that have an injury. I had some wrist stuff. I just bound my wrist really well. It sucks not being able to use your wrist when you're throwing a sword, but hey, it is what it is. A couple months or not even a couple months, probably a month and a half, I was ready to take it off, use a lighter sword, and then I built back up to a bigger sword. When my shoulder's real bad, I use boffer because it's lighter on my shoulders. I can still throw. I can still be comfortable. I don't care if my opponent takes shots. It has nothing to do with them taking a shot at a fight practice. Who cares? It's about me being able to practice and my timing and all of those pieces. So tons of great ways around that. But this also goes for those people that don't have anything wrong with them. Guess what? Being in better condition, as pro athletes find out, is better for your sport. What you know. I don't know why that would happen, but let's be realistic. Okay, guys, we don't work as hard as pros and we don't have the time to do that, but we sure do. Some of us sure do have the time to make it if we want to get better, then we have to make that time to be stronger, to be better conditioned, to do those things. And that's the piece that we, you know, here we're just trying to motivate and help you think about ideas, but everybody could be doing something to better, you know, be better at what they do. Not just the people injured or had injuries before or whatever. You know, we have probably maybe 80% of the people that, or more, that are coming back to fighting. You know, guess what? This is a perfect time to come back to fighting. You could have been off for the last 10 years. Right? And now you get to come back to fighting, and the excitement that everybody has. Holy crap, this is the best time to come back to fighting that we ever had. Tell your friends. It's going to be a giant party. Right? So I hope that's the way people take a look at it and embrace it. Thorfin. Uh-oh, you're on mute.
There you go. All right. First off, yeah, the one thing I wanted to definitely communicate again is listen to your body. So if you're coming back from an injury, take that seriously. Don't push it to the point where you're going to re-injure yourself, and also allow yourself these times to heal. I've seen so many fighters want to be like tough guys and push through an injury, and I've seen these guys shorten their careers drastically. Like I know guys that were like top 10 fighters in the world, and they can't fight anymore, right? Because they never took the time to actually heal and listen to their body, right? So take your physical therapy very seriously. Do all those stupid things that guy tells you to do at physical therapy. I've only had 2 real injuries that made me do this, and they had nothing to do with fighting. They were actually outside work injuries. I almost cut my thumb off and so forth. But you know, those things allowed me to come back to fighting full strength, and that was important. But once you do all those things, you take all of that seriously, and you're physically starting to come back, you're going to maybe run into something that I think is like a mental health thing that you need to worry about is don't hold yourself to where you were, right? Because, you know, you have had, at this point, you're going to have a year off of fighting, like more than likely. And you're going to be putting this expectation on yourself that you were at this level, right? And you're coming back to a situation where you're maybe here now, right? And that's okay. Every day you can reassess where we're at, and then you can say, this is where I'm at today. If you become trapped in this idea that you're worrying about this kind of where you were thing, you may not ever, I've seen so many fighters do this. They never come back. They stop because they can't, like, the amount of work and all of those things to get back to where you were is too, it's overbearing for them, and they just quit. So instead, what you do is you say to yourself, today I'm here at practice. Okay. Next week I'm here at practice. And then we can all move forward and get back to where we were. That's all achievable. You were already there. So it's not like that's something you can't do. It's not impossible. You've already done it. But don't make it like you have to make this jump that is, you know, kind of impossible for your body to do sometimes. So be honest with yourself, take the time, and be okay with where you're at right now. And I think that's a big thing in this kind of coming back from an injury, especially. Okay.
Totally agree. Sagan. I think you're on mute.
There we go. Injury. The very word dictates that real life and the SCA just collided. Okay, so we've heard it before. Now, more than ever, you have to be realistic. Okay, it's one of those things with, as far as, you know, setting up time, setting up an area, your partners, well, now you've got probably a physical therapist and a doctor. Okay, mentors, you've also got a physical therapist and a doctor. We've already talked about not pushing a bad position as far as practice goes. Don't ever push a bad position as far as an injury goes. Well, I think, you know, I really want to get back to practice, so I'm absolutely going to do this. It probably would behoove you to talk to the physical therapist and the doctor going in and saying, this is what I do for a hobby. Please be aware of that when you are speaking with me, and reiterate it at every appointment maybe. How is this going to help me get back to the sport I love? I guarantee you runners are doing it. Soccer players, rugby players, they're doing it. Tennis players are doing it. Why not you? Be very aware that the outcome of this post-injury training can have a direct effect on what you do in the SCA. And be very aware that you need to be proactive in this to make sure you get the results you want.
All right. So I think you were running, we got about 20 minutes left. Tristan, I'm going to have you kind of bring up this next topic, but you know, I think the next topic is probably one of the most important. And I think the thing that we wanted to help people with is make sure that when you're really setting those goals, that you have ways to measure it. So let's go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah. You know, and as I put this list together, I almost think maybe I should have reordered them and had this before the conditioning topic, because, and that is, start with your self-assessment. Now you've got in place, you've got your partners, you've got your space, you've hopefully got some mentors or some people to provide you some good input. You got the major pieces in play. Now it comes to, where are you starting at? If for any journey, you need to know, not only know where you're going, you need to know where you're starting from. So this is where that honesty and humility comes in. Start honestly an assessment of where you are, and that could be injuries, it could be your level of experience, what you view as your level of success. You know, I've heard fighters will often say that they kind of classify themselves, I win about 20% of the time, or I win about 40% of the time. In my opinion, that's a kind of a simplistic way of breaking it down, and I wouldn't necessarily encourage that. But you can look forward and saying, you know, there's this guy that I fight all the time and I can never seem to beat him. I'm in over my head with him. Say, you know what? I want to be able to fight him toe to toe and come away, you know, about half the time. Like, you can set these short-term goals for yourself. Of course, that requires us to be able to get together and actually fight. But I think Sagan's right. I think we're going to get a green light, and that's going to start happening this year. So when it comes to self-assessment, don't beat yourself up for things that you find that are shortcomings, but list them as things that you want to improve, like that, make that your to-do list. And you can go and say, all right, there are things that I do really well, or you think you do quite well. Can you do them better? Or would you be better off spending time working on some of the things that you really don't do well at all, or you get caught by? And it's hard to go over how granular that list can be, because everybody will approach it a little differently. But this gives you the menu of what your training is going to consist of. How do you address the deficiencies? I guess to use some Sean vernacular. So list out those deficiencies. What's wrong with your fight? What needs to get fixed? That will give you all right, now I've got my list. Now you go through, how do we train to fix it? And go to your mentors, go to your partners, say, here, let's figure out how we're going to fix this. And believe me, when you look at drills, and I learned this as not only in the SCA, but as a martial artist, it's not like there's a menu of drills to do. A coach will say, here's the skill my fighter needs. I'll come up with a drill that's going to focus on fixing that. And it will often be a custom kind of one-off thing. Just be ready to figure out what your deficiencies are, figure out a plan to how you're going to address them, get help. If you just don't know how to do it, as Sagan will always say, call us, call one of us, call somebody that's local, talk to them and say, how do I fix this problem I'm having? My feet don't move. I always get out circled. How do I fix that? And that would be how you form that plan based on your goal. And keep in mind, this is an ongoing process. There's never a finish line for this race. You will keep running and running and running, and your priorities will shift. Your deficiencies will shift. Some will disappear. You'll find new ones. It's a constant ongoing process of self-improvement. So enjoy that part. It's kind of a fun thing to do, and it will make you your own coach, really. Now you take on planning out your own training and how you're going to get there. And definitely get help, but realize that no one's going to do it for you, and no one should do it for you. You will hit a ceiling fast if all you do is rely on other people to tell you what to do. So take that on your own responsibility to be your coach.
Yeah, I think the piece on that too, Tristan, just to follow up that real quick, is don't when you're putting these things together, don't be afraid to kind of reach out. And, not only it's still your responsibility, but, like all the other things Tristan just pointed out, you have maybe a partner that's where you're Zooming with, or that you're just going to report an email, or you're going to, send a chat to, get together and work on it. There is nothing better than doing that. And you know what? That's your first goal, is just getting back to it. And getting back to it might just be your first goal of, what are we going to do? Or can you do this with me? Nothing physical at all. Thorfin, I'm going to wrap up the episode. So why don't you go ahead next?
I want to say I learned a phrase from my buddy down in Australia, Felix, and he uses the term micro goals at practice. And what he's talking about is, he's like saying, like, I'm going to stand in the pocket, for this much time. Right. And I'm going to do defense, or I'm going to try and fight this fight from zone 3 or whatever you want to describe these zones as. Right. And I think that this is something that you can easily do. You can set goals. One of those goals, guys, is just doing it the first time, setting yourself these micro goals. I'm going to do a week of, trying to do 3 days a week. Right. And then next week, maybe we do 4 days a week or whatever, or however long it takes you to set meeting these micro goals. That is super okay. And remember, these are moving targets. All of these things we're talking about, all of these goals they're moving targets, and they're going to keep changing on you. And that's going to be kind of the whole dynamic right now. We have a lot of time for you to work through all these different things. And so keep your targets, keep going at them, but remember that they're going to be moving targets. I think that's super great. The other thing I wanted to say was, you may want to go out and find your armor. Like, go in the garage, and actually find it.
What?
Right? Because here's the deal. I know for a fact, I went out a couple months ago. Mine was covered by 2 boxes, right? And I had to take it out and start fiddling with it, right? So I could do some other stuff. But I realized I hadn't even looked at this shit. So, the COVID 20 or COVID 20 pounds, right? Maybe changed how your armor fits you. You have a lot of time right now to upgrade your gear. Go buy that new protective, cup, or that you've been putting off for 3 years. Get new knee pads. The Amazon just drops that shit in your porch. So just do these little things, these baby steps, these micro goals of upgrading your gear. You've got time to do it now. For a fact that elbow cup string is still broken. Go fix it, right? Take 5 minutes a week to just go in the shop, fix your damn elbow cup, right? Those type of things, these little micro goals will help us get through this. And when you actually get to, come back to practices, if you've done that, you're leagues ahead of most guys. They're going to pull their armor out and they're going to still realize that a year ago that elbow cup was broken and they have not addressed it yet. So these little things we can do. All right.
And do everybody a favor and wash your stuff.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh, no,
I would say definitely buy new knee pads. Just do it. Okay.
Helm padding. Put some new helm padding in.
Oh, now you're pointing at me, Sagan.
No, not intentionally. If I can infer to something that needs improvement, Your Grace, I am more than willing to assist. Point it out 2 weeks from now if it doesn't happen. So, self-assessment. Okay, here we go. Self-assessment. Now, we've gone through the list, right? Time, area, partners, mentor, conditioning. Now, self-assessment. How well is it all working? Coming back to our plan. Is our plan functional? Is it working? Are we seeing the improvement we want? So, what do I want to be? Where am I now? What do I need to improve? Who do I need to involve to get there? A myriad of questions, and that's just a short list. But the idea is you had a plan, you set a goal. How well is it working? Is the plan accomplishing what you need to get done to meet your goal? If not, address it, right? Sounds simple. Be realistic. This is self-assessment. If you need a hand, ask someone to help. It's not that far out for somebody to go, hey, I set this goal and here's what I've done. Here's where I am. What do you think? Right? Real quick, real straightforward. But again, self-assessment means it's on you. The biggest one is do not, I implore you, do not set traps for yourself, right? I should have been able to do the XYZ by now. I can't. Oh, those two is killer, an absolute killer. So leave those aside, go back to being positive because again, we've got a plan, we got a goal, and we are moving towards that goal. And we're dedicated, motivated. We're all these things. We want to get this done. We want success. So whoever else we need to involve them. And then you have to answer, again, we've sort of covered it here, is what I am doing working? Don't leave it there. If the answer is no, find out why not and modify it. If it's cardio, okay, that's fine. If it's pel work, okay, that's fine, right? Whatever it is, move forward traction, no matter what it is. I don't know. Okay, that's good. How do I find out? And just keep going. It's a brand new year. Here we go.
So, this topic is a tough one because goals are dangerous. They set us up for failure, and they set us up for success. But the one thing I would say is we talk micro goals and we talk interval goals, and is set some goals that you can do. And if that means going out to your garage and finding your armor, wonderful. First goal done, right? If that is finding a partner to go out in a park and stand 10 feet apart, or, you know, that build a relationship and trust and do it, you know, a pod or do it online and just review with each other. That's another goal that, you know, gets you back in line to finish other goals. Because that, you know, and then don't start too fast. Don't set yourself, I'm going to train 4 days a week starting now. And then you fail in the first week. So now you set yourself a trap that you already failed. So what does it matter? What the idea is, this, you know, before the end of COVID, or, you know, before I get my first shot, before any of this, I'm going to work out a couple of times, find a routine, find somebody to help me do this, meet somebody new, go online and watch some videos that I wanted to watch of this guy. You know, that's the type of goals that you can do. But don't you leave yourself on, hey, I did all of these, now I have nothing else. You don't have to set, you know, people say, well, setting too big of a goal. I'm going to be the best fighter ever. I personally don't mind somebody saying that too often. I don't think it's a goal. I think it's something to strive for, because there is no such thing. But there's nothing wrong to set things to strive for. And, you know, I can tell you right now, when I first started, my goal wasn't to be a knight, although, you know, that's an honorable goal. But don't say I'm going to be a knight in 6 months, because you only have a certain amount of control over that. The big piece is say, you know, I'm going to strive to be a knight. And if that takes 5 years, because, you know, you're busting your 5 days of practice and really cranking it out, it may happen that fast, but you're going to give up a lot. If you know, if you're going to school and have a family, maybe you can't have as much time. So striving to be a knight and you get it in 10 years, well, congratulations. You strive and you got that. You hit your target, that goal that you're, even if it's something you're just looking to do, you've hit that over that time. But don't set a time limit to that. And so there are things that you can set time limits. But like Sagan said, don't set the traps where you're like, next week, you know, I'm going to start training every day. That's a trap. It's near impossible to do. And then once you fail, you're done. So set things that you can do and make sure that you understand that. And that if you fail, guess what? Put your big pants back on and move on. Set a new goal, right? I mean, we all fail. So keep that in mind when you're going forward. And I'm going to tell you, the best way to meet your goals is having a partner, having maybe even your partner who doesn't even do what you do, say, hey, are you going to go out and do your stuff? Put it on your refrigerator. I don't care. Find somebody you don't even know to say, hey, can I just send you my workout schedule every day or every week I do it? Right? If that's how you feel, that's great. And if that helps, that's what we're trying to get to. And that's, you know, when we look at a New Year's goal, I want you to be better next year. Really? I want you to be better 20 years from now. And I want you to be better 30 years after, another 10 years after that. That's what we have to keep striving for. That's part of being a student, actually, like we get back to. So keep those things in mind when you're setting your goals, because I'm going to tell you, everyone, watch all kinds of ducal interviews, all these peers coming online, so many people, and every one of them, I haven't heard many people saying, I can't wait till these guys fail. Because that's not what they're saying. They're out there like, man, all I want to do is share and help people succeed. So fine, I don't care if it's not even fighting. There's so many people out there willing to help you succeed. That is the strength of the society. And I think that's the reason why so many of us love it. So keep that in mind. I'm going to post up a few more things from a few other sites, martial arts sites that, talk about just setting realistic goals. It was interesting. I found something about choosing new sparring partners. To give you a feel on that, a lot of times we get really comfortable with our people, and sometimes we'll get bored. When they talk about choosing new sparring partners, the idea here is maybe that goal is, and I do this with my squire. I'm like, hey, create me a list of 3 unbelts that are your level that you do 50-50 with. And we're going to review that until you're doing 80-20 with them. And go tell them that you're going to hound them at every practice, every event that you go to. And then after time, we review that. And we're like, okay, find yourself 2 different people now. Okay. She also keeps a book at her fight practices and writes in it all the time about what made, what kind of was the bright moment at practice, what she failed at, or what she succeeded at. And we talk about it. We review every fight practice. And sometimes I'm just listening. Sometimes she'll say, I did this terrible. I'm like, I disagree, but if that's the way you feel, that means we have to work on it some more. So those are ways to kind of engage and help that. And that could be a mentor at practice. It could be your knight if you're squattered. Say, hey, I'm going to start doing these things. Do you mind if I call and talk to you about it? No better relationship to be in. So when we talk about new sparring partners, we talk about new people to push you. They talk about new martial arts. And in our case, maybe it's time to pick up a new form, or maybe it's time to look at a different sword and shield style. Doesn't mean you have to go there. It doesn't mean you have to break your trainer's heart because you're leaving it. What you have to do is say, I just want to see the difference here. And I bet you they're willing to help you try to understand it. In fact, they're probably willing to point you at somebody and say, oh, you want to see what Sean does? Here, let me write him a letter. And then you're like, well, no, I don't want to have to talk to Sean. He's scary, but, but, this is a chance. I mean, everybody has said, hey, come to us, ask us, and we'll try to help. And it's exactly what we're going to try to do. So think about that. Think about pushing yourself and looking outside of maybe just your practice and building an art, and just like Bruce Lee did. Easy enough, train more. That's pretty clear, and that's almost on every list I've ever seen. And it doesn't mean you have to train. Train more could be videos, could be reviewing your own videos, could be calisthenics, could be conditioning, anything. And self-study. I find that self-study is, what am I doing? Review it with people. And there are so many more people out there willing to look at your video. John started a series for this, to review and help, because sometimes that insight from others, your trainer could be even telling you exactly what these other people tell you, but you're done listening to your trainer, or these people are going to say it in a different way. So that will make your brain click. And that's all we all want, including your trainer. So towards the end of the program here, we're running a tad bit over. I just want to go ahead and pass it on to each one of these guys just for a last tidbit. Let's keep it short, and we'll wrap her up. Tristan?
Sounds good. Yeah. Thorfin jumped in a little bit on that last topic of gear. And I wanted to add in, he was on point for everything. Keep in mind, we've kind of had to take a break from our fighting. That break looks like it's going to go on a little bit longer. Use this time to improve your gear. If you ever wanted to get a new helmet, now's the time to make it, or find it, or improve your leg harness, improve what you wanted to do, but didn't have time to do before. I find that doing my gear gets me motivated. Like it's kind of like you're fixing that race car. You're putting in new headers on it, you get a new carburetor, putting a turbocharger on it. It gets you motivated. Now, not everybody's like this, I'm sure, but as you attend your gear and you start preparing in your mind, you're getting ready. You're getting ready for that green light to come on. So use it as a motivational tool, not just to clean up and wash your stuff, but take a look at giving yourself a new look. I've had a number of people that I've seen come through their fighting career and they get better and they get better, and their gear kind of gets worse and worse, and they kind of get stuck. And I'll tell them, update your gear. Everybody will look at you differently. You will look at you differently. You'll have a new self-image, and not just, get a new set of elbow cups, but, new helmet, new surcoat, paint your shield, or if you have a shield, or get some new stuff. That excitement is palpable. So use this as part of your improving your kit to improve how you look at the game and how you give yourself a dose of motivation. We talked a little bit too about the traps. Don't set traps for yourself and fall right in them. Like everybody does it. I know I've done it. Just stay out of that. And everybody's come up with some really great tangibles for those traps to fall into. So train smart, but get to it.
Thorfin.
Okay, so I'm gonna piggyback a little bit about the gear thing. One of the things about updating your gear or keeping care of your gear is that your gear is your face, right? When you go to these places, those fighters will only really recognize you by your gear. So if you got junky, rusty gear that's all busted up, that's all they see, right? If you come out there and you have taken care of your stuff, that's what they see as well. They know that's a person who's involved. That person is dangerous. They've taken care of their stuff. They've honed the edge of their sword, right? So do take that time to care for your stuff. And if something's got to go, it's okay to update your stuff, right? And I want to close out on a couple things. One was we talked about kind of videos and things you can do and look up. There's even like things like basic yoga videos, guys, that, I mean, hey, I'm 50 years old. It's okay to stretch, right? And if you don't, you're not going to ever get that shit back. So start doing it now. Like go on and look that stuff up. It's free to look it up on YouTube, and it's right there. There's workout videos. There's a million fight videos. Type in my name. There's hundreds of fight videos of me. Come watch me fight, right? I'd love that. And if I could say one thing to do for your 40 days to try and get your, a new thing drilled into your head is a bunch of my friends, we do a thing called the century drill. It's 100 blows for 100 days, right? And you, no matter what, have to do the 100 blows before dawn. So you can do it any time of the day, right? You can do it, it doesn't have to be hard. It just, the concept is throw 100 blows perfectly. Form-wise, you're not going to tear up your elbows or anything like that. Just throw 100 blows perfectly every day for 100 days. But then after that, it just becomes so much easier to just keep doing it, right? So this is like the 40 days thing. And other than that, it's been a real pleasure, talking to you guys, and Happy New Year. And let's see if we can all improve ourselves.
There we go. It's a new year. That's the great news. Okay, so we're going to set goals. We're going to plan, and then we're going to execute the plan. Good news. Okay, if you run into something that's tough, doesn't mean that you failed. It just means you found something that needs to be addressed further. Once again, no traps. I can't. I won't. None of that. Just keep moving forward. Even if it's 10 minutes a week, move forward. As you can, add more time. Increase the area. We've talked about mentors. We've talked about people to practice with. Increase those as you can. If you have questions, come to us or find a mentor in your area. We're here to help. We really are. We want you to succeed. Absolutely. Not just now, but on into the future. Again, sometime this year, hopefully, the green light's going to come on, and we want you to be prepared. Whether it's your training, mental or physical, whether it's your gear that needs to be replaced and or repaired, whether it's the weapons and the shields that need to be addressed. Let's go ahead and put that into the plan, make it a goal, and get it done. I wish you well. I wish you the most happiest of New Year's, and may 2021 prove to be the year of success.
All right, let's get Vesper back. There she is. Hey, so I got a question for you. What's your goal for the New Year's?
Wow. you know, I'm afraid to set a goal 'cause I'm afraid of failing it.
There's no
Yeah,
failing.
I'm afraid if I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm really hard on myself. I'm like, if I want to do something and I don't do it, then I feel like I just have really let myself down. So, I mean, hearing you guys talk about setting goals is sometimes a bad thing for you because when you don't achieve it, you feel like you've set yourself back. So I think New Year's resolutions are always good to keep in mind, but not necessarily to measure your success by.
True.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I guess my goal is just to get to see you all every Friday.
Well, we'll try to keep that goal. We'll try to make sure that one works. Happen for sure.
One day into the new year and you nailed your goal.
Hey, congratulations.
There you go. Not only that, we're part of it. Okay.
Check done.
All right. So I just want to say a couple words before we go our separate ways. Did we want to talk about next week's episode?
What do we got next week, Tristan? I think I got.
Yep, I had this up here. Let me view this. This is Brannos going mental. Brannos mental side of training and innovation.
Okay. I think so. What we're going to talk about next week, I think some of this is you guys got that. I think this is this the episode where I'm going to talk about you guys get to talk about the way you education and teaching around stuff was. I think this is me. I think this is my turn to talk about, Eli brought the stuff on from educational side and all that, those pieces around it. And then we had the methods that Sean had and goes by for training. I think this is mine. And for me, I tend to be a motivator and I get a little excited about fighting only because I like it a little. And so I think next week we're going to talk about that. And I've been lucky enough. The one thing for me that I do probably better than anything is develop new things. So and see things in other ways and bring them in. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So we'll see. Hopefully it's a good episode. I'll try to keep my excitement in check a little bit.
Oh, sure.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Well, I would like to wish everybody a very, very happy new year. 2021. Get to start fresh. Yeah. Hoping we can only improve from here. So.
Exactly. Well, it's already improved. I got to see you, so we're good.
That's so sweet.
Thank you again.
Have a
Thank you, Vesper.
Thanks, Vesper.
Bye.
Rock on your heart, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.